All right. So my name is Anthony, and I'm here with six-time world champion golf's leading club designer, Jack Hamm. Most people know you as the Hammer, and for being on TV with your driver for 20 plus years now. You've been all over the world doing golf exhibitions. You've been in front of crowds of 50,000 plus people displaying your technique. You've given lessons to kings, queens, golf pros, and well-known celebrities. You have six world records, including a 473-yard drive. You've been clocked by Golf Digest with a swing speed of 162 miles per hour. You also have a master's degree in engineering, so you have a knack for analyzing and figuring out what really works, specifically in the golf swing. You've been doing this for well over 20 years, and I could go on and on with your success. It's unprecedented. But let's talk about what's in your book and your video lesson. Now, you talk about the golf swing as everybody knows it, and it's dead wrong. It's based on a concept that you really can't apply to golf. There's that missing ingredient that everyone leaves out. You've shown over the years with your technique that anyone can add 50 yards or more to their golf swing, including the pros, and you can cure any slice or hook and hit it dead straight. You mentioned how you've taken people in the morning, they've shot in the hundreds, and then in the afternoon, people are shooting in the low 80s. When we look around on the driving range, though, it's just the opposite. Virtually everyone is slicing the golf ball, they're hooking it, they're hitting it fat, thin, they can't seem to hit the golf ball with any power or accuracy. After years and years of golf instruction, better equipment, video technology, magazines, people still can't hit the ball long and straight. Why is that, Jack?
Well, first off, Anthony, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to at least talk to you a little bit about the golf swing and actually, sincerely and truly help golfers play better golf. I mean, that's what I've always been about, is trying to help, people play better golf and make the game of golf easy. And that's what I truly do. Quite frankly, for over 100 years, golf's been taught the wrong way. It's if you can't practice golf, 3 times a week for 10 years, and it's just very difficult, to be a good golfer. And there's one very simple reason why that is, and that is that golf and being better at golf and being a golf pro, it's all based on muscle memory. And muscle memory works pretty good for other sports, but relative to golf, it doesn't work at all. So, that's why you see the pros, these guys are out there, and a lot of them have lousy golf swings, to be honest with you, if you take a look at them. But they practice their swing 6 hours a day, and they're able to overcome their inabilities in terms of their technique and what they're doing in hitting a golf ball, and they're able to score even with a terrible golf swing. So, the fact of the matter is that golf has always been taught the wrong way. It's based on muscle memory. And then you've got, quite frankly, you've got magazines, you've got pros, and everybody else still going about trying to teach golf the wrong way. I will tell you that when I started in golf, I was just like anybody else. I wanted to be, I'm a very analytical person. I actually have a master's degree in engineering, in mechanical engineering, and I would actually, take the golf swing and actually study it. Back when I was learning golf, there was no videos or anything like that. You actually had to look at still photos. And one of the photos that I studied the most was Sam Snead, because he had basically probably the most perfect swing in the 70s. And just looking at his swing, I tried to figure out mechanically how you create the perfect backswing, the perfect downswing, the perfect follow through. How do you make that all happen, in the actual golf motion? And again, it's all approached wrong in terms of the traditional approach, because they approach it by, they talk to you about your elbow, talk about where your hands are, they talk about where your feet are, at the top of your swing, what you're doing, when to release this and that. And here's the true problem with this.
Yeah.
The problem here, Anthony, is that impact is 1/1000th of a second. So at 1/1000th of a second, it becomes very, very difficult, to send messages to your body and to your limbs, and to tell them do this, do that. It's impossible with the golf swing, because impact is 1/1000th of a second. So The problem is muscle memory doesn't work in terms of a golf swing.
Right. So you're saying the root of the problem, why nobody has improved their golf scores in the past 35 years, 40 years, is because of conventional golf instructions, because they base it on muscle memory. Correct?
Exactly. I mean, the exact problem here is that it's all traditional training, all traditional swings are based on muscle memory, okay? And, what I did in terms of developing what I call the hammer swing, the hammer technique, and hammer technology was, revolutionary to the sport. And I always kind of compare it to what Dick Fosbury did in high jumping. I don't know if anybody remembers, but back in the 70s, this guy comes up with this crazy idea to jump over the bar backwards in high jumping, and everybody went a foot higher. Well, that's actually, how drastic my golf swing is. My golf swing is based on setting you up in the perfect address position with 5 simple steps. And these 5 simple steps give you the perfect backswing, the perfect downswing, give you the perfect release point. It puts you in the most powerful release point ever. I mean, anybody that applies these 5 steps will actually have the perfect backswing, the perfect downswing, and they actually will increase their clubhead speed 20% automatically just because of the way they're set up in the swing. And so this is not based on muscle memory. So the really cool thing about this is that you don't even have to practice the swing. There's no practice involved. It's just, if you can count to 5, it's that simple.
Right, and I can attest to this, Jack. I used to struggle with the golf swing. For years, I hired top pros. I spent $10,000-$20,000 on this instruction, the videotapes, the magazines, and I couldn't improve my game. Actually, I almost quit. Finally, I was flipping through the stations and seen an ad on the Golf Channel. It talked about this guy who averages 400 yards off the tee, and he's over 50. His name's Jack Hamm. Okay, that's what when I first seen you, I'm like, who's this Jack Hamm? And you said it's the last golf lesson you'll ever need. So, I mean, I bought it, I watched it. I thought, okay, this is a little too good to be true, but I went to the range with a couple of buddies. I grabbed a bucket of balls, and I started swinging my pitching wedge. I practiced in the living room before I left a couple swings, and I had it down. It felt very, very comfortable. So I lined up the ball, took my first swing. I looked up. It was dead straight and longer than I ever hit a ball with my pitching wedge. I thought this was nuts, so I'm like, all right, I got to try this again. So I did the same thing. And again, same thing, dead straight up in the air. So I grabbed an 8-iron. I put the ball down. I aimed it at the 200-yard sign just to aim, because I can't hit an 8-iron 200 yards normally. But I aimed at it just to pick a target. So I get up there, hit the ball, I look up, ball goes dead straight, and I see it land over the 200-yard sign with my 8-iron, about 225, 230 yards. I said, you got to be kidding me. I run over to my buddies. They're at the other end of the range. I grab my golf balls. I said, guys, watch out. Let me show you this. So I started hitting these balls one after another perfectly. Next thing you know, I get a crowd gathering around me. They thought I was a golf pro doing a golf demonstration. My buddies, their jaws are on the ground. They're asking, where the heck did you learn to do that? Just like that, I literally, it's true. I went from bad to good, probably in about a couple hours. And, I mean, what about, were you always hitting at 400 yards when you started, or how did it work for you?
Well, let me say this to you, Anthony. First off, it's kind of sad because the golf game is such a great game.
Right.
And 90% of the golfers can't break 100. I mean, it would be great if, the average score was 80, 85.
Yeah.
So why not, let's help everybody shoot an 80, 85. I mean, let's get away from this traditional teaching that does absolutely nothing to help them, be a better golfer.
Exactly.
I mean, one of the things is, and what you asked me is, was I always somebody could hit at 400 yards? Like I said, I learned system with these 5 steps. I mean, the first thing was younger, and if you take a look at probably 80% of the golfers, their initial problem that they have when they play golf is they sway, all right? And when I say they sway, which means is when they take the club back, their whole body, their lower body goes with the upper body, and they lose their center in terms of where the ball is, and so they got about a 1 in 10 chance of getting back to that ball square.
Right.
So there's your very first problem, okay? So the very first thing I did in my setup and in my swing and in the hammer system is I came up with, a setup that would stop the swing. So it becomes where it becomes absolutely impossible to sway in your backswing. So I've already solved the biggest problem right there that most golfers have is I stop the swing. Then, another issue that people have, in terms of learning golf and being consistent in golf is, how far do you stand from the golf ball? They talk about a bar stool. They talk about, bend your knees, don't bend your knees, squat, pretend you're doing this and that. There's never been anything consistent in terms of way that you should stand and address a golf ball. So I came up with another, thing in my Hammer Secret Miracle that actually teaches you the same setup every time, okay, to give you what I call a kind of a counterweight effect, all right? So it gives you the turning axis of which your swing will evolve from, which is, again, gives you the perfect axis of rotation for power and also for consistency. So, when I was young, I had the same basic problem that everybody has. I wanted to swing like crazy, and I was slicing the heck out of the ball. I'm hitting way behind it. I'm hitting it fat. So I basically tried to solve these basic problems that everybody has in these 5 simple steps. The only way that you can get into the hammer swing, and the only way that you can get into what I call the hammer attack angle, where you create this huge lever on the ball on a downswing, is in my 5-step setup. And it's as simple as if you can count to 5, then you can have this perfect swing, okay? And, what I'm telling you, this hammer attack angle, I call it the hammer miracle, all right? What it does is it increases everybody's club speed 20%, okay? You're going to get an extra 40 to 50 yards immediately with your irons and with your driver, okay? And what happens is you increase the snap, you increase the whip, you increase the torque, everything in terms of what happens on that golf ball, and you're going to hit it dead straight. The most important thing, your slice disappears. And that's probably, the first thing you'll notice with this technique and this address position is that once you set yourself up like this, you'll never slice the ball again. It's that amazing.
Well, another thing I wanted to point out, it's very important. There's no swing thoughts or managing body positions because it's not based on muscle memory. It all happens in the setup. So you just add these 5 setup positions. It takes literally a couple minutes and to learn each step, and then you got it for life. But it really is that simple. So tell me, Jack, how did you bring this out to the public? I know you used to do exhibitions. How did you start teaching this to people?
Well, one more thing I'd like to add before, we expound on that is, the real issue with the golf swing and the traditional teaching and with these pros that know nothing, okay? And basically you can study magazines, you can take 10 lessons, you'll get worse, okay?
Right.
You can study this and that, you're going to get worse, okay? Because everybody's got a tip. The problem is the golf swing is, in the backswing, is based on infinity. I refer to that because I used to be a math major. And it's an infinity of motion, all right? So you've got infinite ways that you can take that club back, okay?
Right.
But in reality, in my swing, there's only one path, okay?
Right.
And that one path of that backswing is what leads to the perfect downswing, okay? That one path is the variable where the ball ends up in a fairway or on the green. So, it's very important that people understand that, the difficulty in golf is based on, you can't play golf with muscle memory, and it's based on the fact that there's an infinity amount of swing paths, okay, in terms of the swing, and nobody's been able to figure that out or solve that until basically my swing, which is based on the setup. So, and how and where I've been with this, I have traveled the world, Anthony.
Right.
I've been over, in Japan 25 times. I've stood in front of 50,000 people. I did city tours around the country, and I literally still over 50, average over 400 yards off the tee. My club head speed is 162 miles an hour. I've taught my lesson to many of the pros on the tour. I've given lessons to John Daly, Tiger Woods when he was 15. Arnold Palmer even. I've helped a lot of people. And this is a real swing. This is something that could literally change the face of golf. This swing could take the national average down to 85. And one thing that I want to throw out there,
Yeah.
okay, that's one of the craziest things that I came up with, Anthony,
Yeah.
which is one of the basic, fundamentals of my swing, and it's an absolute no-no when it comes to golf, is with this hammer miracle, is you're going to play golf with a bent left arm, all right? The more that you bend your left arm at address, the better golfer you'll be.
Wait a second.
The more you bend that left arm at address, the farther you'll hit the ball.
Wait a second.
And
A bent left
that's
arm.
just the opposite of what they've been teaching, and that's how ingrainedly different this is from the tradition. And this is what's going to solve. The left arm is going to solve the whole fundamental problem of muscle memory. Okay, by bending your left arm at address.
See, that to me, when I first heard that, I'm like, wait a second, a bent left arm. That goes against all the rules of golf, of conventional golf, muscle memory swing. And look at, for somebody who hits the ball 400 yards and they hit it dead straight every time, he's telling you a free tip. He's saying bend your left arm. I think that's completely revolutionary. But here's the thing, though: is this for everybody? Is this just for pros? Is this just for beginners? Who can apply this?
Well, that's a good question, Anthony. I mean, I've taken people. I'll tell you a couple of stories. I could tell you stories the rest of the day here, but I've taken golfers that actually called me up on the phone. They couldn't break 100 in 1 hour. The next day, I've taken people that, in 15 minutes, they had yards to their drives. I mean, it's that. This thing is for from the very best golfer in the world to the very worst. It's also for the golfers that quit. I understand those out there that quit golf because it's frustrating to go out there and shoot 50 for 9 holes. I mean, now you can go out and shoot a 35. I mean, in like 15 minutes. This thing is so simple, all right, that literally we can change your entire golf game in like less than a half hour. We can change the entire outlook of your golf game in a half hour. So, one other, I'll tell you a quick story, that I like in my travels around the world. I did some exhibitions in Australia, actually in Darling Harbor, in front of about 10,000 people. And I was the guest of Greg Norman in Australia. And one of the things that, during the week that I was there, he'd asked me to, give a little clinic every couple hours to 1,000 people or so. And he said, Jack, just get up there and hit a few balls and show them your swing or how fast you can hit the ball and, how hard you can hit it. And I said, Greg, to be honest with you, I can do that. But one of the things that I enjoy the most is helping people play better golf.
Right.
So I said, and I'd be more than glad to show you, Greg, my swing, the hammer swing, if you'd like. And, not everybody's receptive to hearing what I have to say, in these pros. But Greg says, no, let me see what you got. So instead of me giving him the, 1 hour lesson, detailing him the step-by-step technology behind it, I just give him the 5 basic steps.
Right.
So I told Greg, I said, listen, we have a little swing analyzer here. I said, Greg, I want you to hit 5 balls for me with a 7-iron and see how far you hit it. So he hits 5 balls. He's registering 149, 152, 158, 159. I think it's the farthest he hit a 7-iron was 159.
Yeah.
So then I give him the 5 steps quickly in 5 minutes. All right. The first registers 197. Then he's 199. Then he was 206, 209. Okay. He literally was almost fell down in shock. I mean, I literally added 50 yards to Greg Norman's swing in 5 minutes. I mean, and here's the coolest part about it was he was shocked and he was excited. But the coolest part about this, Anthony, was when I would get up at my lectures over the course of the next 4 or 5 days with 1,000, 2,000 people there, Greg said, now listen, I'm going to introduce you because I want to share with everybody here how incredible this is. And Greg would get up there and he basically said, look, I spent, 5 minutes with Jack and he literally put 50 yards on my swing in 5 minutes. And I'm telling you, everybody here, that you should pay attention to what Jack has to say because this is real, this works. I mean, he did it for me. He's going to help each and every one of you guys be a better golfer. So, that was pretty cool on Greg Norman's part. And that's just how it works. And I am very sincere about helping people. So.
Well, I mean, I can attest. I learned the swing literally in my living room in about 15 minutes, and then when I went and hit that bucket of balls, it instantly, literally, the first swing went 50 yards further and hit it dead straight. So I can relate. Um, I just want to say also, my friends, my family, I share this with my friends and my family. I had a friend of mine who went from shooting 110 with 20 mulligans to shooting in the 80s after giving him your ebook and your video lesson. Does this, I mean, do you see this with regular amateur, everyday beginner golfers as well?
Well, let me put it this way. Here's what you're going to see. Whether you look at the book or you look at the video or the submittal, where I'll actually help you personally. The bogey golfer could go to a par golfer. I mean, if you're shooting a 90, now you can shoot an 80. If you're shooting 80, you could shoot a 70. I mean, it's that amazing. If you're shooting 100, you could probably shoot an 80. It's that simple. What we're going to do is anybody out there that's slicing the ball, your slice will disappear with this setup. It's all in the setup. It's nothing to do with your basically swing or the swing motion. It's all in the 5 simple steps that gives you the perfect backswing, the perfect downswing. And so what you're going to get, basically, your slice is going to go away. You're going to increase your club head speed at least 20%. All your irons are going to go 30 to 50 yards farther. Your driver is going to go somewhere between 30 and 50 yards farther, and you're going to hit it dead straight. And you're going to have a lot of people going, "Oh my gosh, what happened to this guy? I mean, how did he do this?" I mean, he basically went from a hack to a guy that looks like he'd been playing on the tour. I mean, that's how amazing this is. Okay, this thing really revolutionized the way people think about golf, and it makes it fun. So it's much more fun to go out and shoot par golf than shoot a 50.
Well, what's crazy to me is, why didn't we learn this years ago? I wasted all these years and all this money when it was really this simple the whole time. Is there a reason why these PGA pros, are they doing it on purpose? Do they want this information hidden?
Well, that's another good question, Anthony. I mean, I've been stood in front of thousands and thousands of people before, and I would go out there and I have my bent left arm and I have my 5 steps, and I don't just go hit balls 400 yards, okay? And I can actually hit an 8-iron 270 yards, right? I actually will go through a bucket and explain everything I'm doing, walk them through the 5 steps. When I get to the bent left arm, people are looking at me like, "Oh my gosh, you must have been in a car accident or something. Why's your arm bent like that?" But when I explain to them the theory behind it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of this?" Okay? Right. I have actually had, and this is no joke, Anthony, I've had pros come up to me on many, many instances and many, many times. Basically, I would say they're jealous, but they would come up to me and say, "Listen, we're going to make sure that you never get this technique out there." I mean, I had one guy one time say to me, "Look, there's 25,000 of us teaching pros, okay, that will try to make sure that, this doesn't become known, okay, this is how simple this is, all right? Because the fact is these guys are just taking your money. I mean, they're not going to make any better. You're going to get worse. I mean, the more they teach you, the worse you're going to get, I actually gave a clinic in front of Golf Digest, 250 Golf Digest staff, and all of their pros, all of their teaching pros, the whole golf school. They all had notebooks out, okay? They all were studying what I was doing. And to be honest with you, I totally freaked these guys out in terms of what was going on here. They're all shaking their head going, "How in the world did this guy come up with this?" And, quite honestly, I'm an engineer, and Anthony, like I said, I analyze things. I was the kind of guy to stay up all night and solve a math problem. I did the same thing when it comes to basketball. I did the same thing when it comes to skiing or, any other kind of sport. I'm very analytical, and, I want to figure out the easiest, most simplistic way to do it. And, quite frankly, golf is the toughest of them all. I mean, there's guys that played in the NBA that can't hit a golf ball. There's guys that played Major League Baseball that can't hit a golf ball. I mean, there's guys that can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and can't play golf, and the ball's not even moving. So, the issue here is that everybody has been taught the wrong way for 100 years. And this is revolutionary. I mean, the Hammer secret and the Hammer miracle is 5 simple steps. I've been counting these steps for over 30 years. When I hit a ball, every time I strike the ball, I count to 5 before I hit it. And I mean, the whole thing, the coolest thing of all with this golf swing is that, and here's how simple this thing is that, what I call it in my setup is simulating impact at address, okay? Wow. And when you take a look at my swing, and then you take a look at the setup, and then you take a look at my impact position, okay? And basically, my setup, and when I'm going to hit the ball, and my setup is the same as when I'm at impact with the ball. And I mean, that to me is absolutely brilliant, because it's like, that's what we all want to achieve, is the impact position. And most of these guys out there, the tour pros and whatnot, they hit the balls like, 270 yards, 280 yards. I can hit a 7 that far. I mean, they're not set up to actually power through the ball. And like I said earlier in this interview, most of them have swings that are ingrained because they play golf 6 hours a day, and they're able to just do what they can do because they practice with this, lousy swing every day.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, if you want to get this hidden information that the golf pros don't want you to know about, then you have to go to the website. If you're listening now and you can't hit the ball straight, if you slice the ball, if you hook the ball, if you hit it fat, if you hit it thin, or if you never really feel confident with your golf game after years of practice of conventional golf lessons, the magazines, the gadgets, if you want to hit it dead straight every time and add an easy 50 yards to all your golf shots, if you want that missing element that requires no swing thoughts or crazy body positions, but simple 5 steps that you can add to your swing setup, then you got to go to boom400.com right now. It's one lesson. You can add 30 minutes and 30 yards in 30 minutes, and you can hit it dead straight. Or you can send it back for a full refund. I've used this. My friends have used it. I highly recommend that you go to the website right now. Again, it's boom400.com to order this 30-minute golf swing miracle. You can hit the ball 30 yards further in 30 minutes and be dead straight guaranteed. Thank you, Jack, for everything. It was a pleasure.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Anthony. I mean, as you know, been on TV for 20 years, and I'm basically known as Boom. Okay, that's what it's all about, is booming that tee shot. I mean, that's what brings us all back every time. And, Boom 400, 400 yards, we're going to try to get some more people hitting at 400 yards. So boom400.com is the answer to your tee shot dreams. Anybody out there that really wants a miracle in their golf swing and help. So appreciate your time very much, Anthony.
All right, thanks, Jack.